The following program contains mature subject matter. Listener discretion is advised. You are listening to Zeitgeist Lab Collections from Itchy Grundle Podcast. In Collection 3, Brian and Alex metaphorically traveled north to Canada to investigate the Canadian content that seems to be pervasive everywhere. This is Episode 6, The Newsroom.
Welcome to the Zeitgeist Lab Collections podcast. This is Collection 3. I am one of your co-hosts, Alex.
I'm your other co-host, Brian.
And we are here talking about Canada. Another week in America's hat. Brian, how are things tonight in sunny Wisconsin?
They're not so sunny.
No?
No. I don't have a sunny disposition, and it's not very sunny here.
So has winter set in? So I'm trying to imagine.
No, it's just fall.
Okay. Well, but because it's Wisconsin and you guys have brutal winters, so I imagine your falls are kind of like winter elsewhere in the country. Has it snowed yet?
No, fuck no.
No? Well, okay.
No, it's October.
I know. Yeah, we've gotten snow here, I guess. So I thought maybe somewhere like in the Midwest that's known for snow would get snow as well.
No, not yet. I don't want to talk about that.
Not ready for snow?
No.
Okay. All right, well, what is going on tonight then?
Not much, man.
All right, well, I didn't really come with any topics to talk about at the top. Do you have anything we want to go over?
Should we look at the Grundle?
Yeah, I mean, I guess we might as well just jump right down to the Grundle.
Yeah, I'm sober this episode, so I don't know how it's going to go.
Okay. You just ran out of supply?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, we won't arrive until Wednesday.
Wednesday, okay.
Yeah.
So it's been a minute since you've been totally sober for recording.
Yeah, I don't really want to talk about that either.
No? Okay.
Yeah, I guess let's take a look at the Grundle.
All right.
Yeah, I put out the tweet a little later than usual. So I don't think we got a lot of responses here.
Well, the members of the Grundle should just anticipate when we're going to be recording next. I think it's bullshit that you have to ask, so it's a little disappointing that we don't have people actively seeking us out.
Right. All right. Well, our only response here is from Toes, who wants to know what you guys think of camping and the experience of going camping.
Okay.
It's kind of a random topic there. Let me get back to this. All right. Yeah, do you go camping at all?
Sometimes. I went camping semi-frequently, in my adolescence. I was in Boy Scouts, but as an adult, I've probably only been, 4 or 5 times. But I typically enjoy it until the next morning. Then my back is killing me from sleeping on the ground.
I haven't gone in 20 years.
Oh, really?
Yeah, no, I'm not an outdoorsy person.
Did you enjoy it when you did go, or just it wasn't
for
you?
Cool. It was sick, yeah.
Yeah, I really like it, but I don't I always, when I go camping, I mean, it's mainly for financial reasons. I just have a tent and a sleeping bag, but also I feel like that's how you're supposed to go camping. I never get the people who I guess they call it glamping and their fancy RVs and campers and all that.
Glamping?
It's where you go to a campground or a campsite, but you have one of those pop-up trailers and with a nice mattress inside or an RV, and it's not really. To me, it's you might as well just stay at a fucking hotel or stay at home. You're not really experiencing the outdoors.
Stupid.
Mm-hmm. But admittedly, the last time we went camping, it was right before Delaney was born, so Miles was 3, and we didn't being pregnant is miserable. Being a 3-year-old makes you seem miserable. So we stayed in we went to one of those KOAs, but it was one with teepee, so we stayed in like a giant teepee.
That's sick.
Yeah, it was awesome, and so it wasn't like outdoorsy. Like there were bunk beds and a fan, which was nice because in the middle of summer, and a refrigerator, but there wasn't like TV or anything. So it was kind of in between. I enjoyed that experience. That was cool. But that was the last time I went camping.
When I was a kid, like in middle school, we'd camp on the front lawn.
Oh, okay.
We just pitch a tent on the front lawn and have a bunch of people sleep over.
Nice. Yeah, I guess I do that with my son sometimes. We've been camping in our backyard maybe 2 or 3 times. It gets too cold at night. That's what I hate about camping is even like in the middle of summer, I get really cold at night just sleeping outside, like because it drops down to like 55 or something, which isn't that bad, but I wake up and I'm like fucking freezing.
Yeah, when I was camping in middle school, it made it easier to sneak out and wreak havoc upon a small town at night.
Okay. Were you a troublemaker in your youth?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I used to egg houses and stuff
nice.
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you ever get caught, or were you sneaky?
I don't think I ever got caught, no.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, I was too much of a rule follower. Like, I always wanted to do stuff like that, but I was convinced that, like, if I thought I could do it without getting caught, I probably would have, but I'm just too scared of getting caught.
Yeah, you'd like run through people's backyards and like jump on their trampolines and shit late at night.
Yeah.
And we'd light toilet paper rolls on fire and kick them around.
Nice. It basically just sounds like the music video for Fat Lip by Sum 41.
Yeah, pretty much.
Pretty much, just like that?
Yeah.
Nice.
Less skateboarding involved, but yeah. Okay.
Were you a skater? I don't think you were, right? You've said fuck skateboarding, I think was your official stance. Yeah.
I was a poser.
You were a poser.
Yeah.
Nice.
I wanted to be a skater, but I wasn't coordinated enough.
Yeah, I had a skateboard. I still do. Like, I can get on it, but I can't do any tricks or anything. I can't even fucking ollie. Like, I've tried my entire life to ollie, and it's never going to happen at this point.
I've tried. Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I tried my whole life to ollie. I still can't. I can manual.
Oh, really?
A little bit.
Now, 20 years ago, I would have known what that meant, but now I don't remember. What does that mean?
It's where you skate on the back 2 wheels.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think I can probably maybe do that. God, we sound really old and pathetic right now. This is kind of depressing.
My joints hurt just talking about it.
Yeah. Nice. All right. Well, is that it from our Grundle then?
That's it. Yeah, that's the only question from the Grundle.
Okay. We should plug our Patreon. We haven't been doing a great job at that, as always.
Yeah, well, we got a new patron.
We did. Welcome, Daniel Murray, to the patron Grundle. I
feel like we're overusing Grundle.
Okay, well, what's another? What is the Patreon? That's like, it's better than being a taint, right? What's the next step up after a taint?
I don't know. I feel like the patrons need some respect on their name.
I'm not going to respect Danny. I'm sorry. That's just not going to happen.
They give us money, and
this is true.
To talk about stuff, and we still haven't done a Patreon episode for this season yet.
Maybe we can pose it to our listeners. Like, what Patreon episode could we do next that would convince you to give us $3 a month?
That's a good idea. Yeah, let's tweet that out.
Or if you're listening, I feel like our numbers have never been like anything amazing, but we've always talked about they're better than the amount of engagement we get on social media. So we need more people like engaging with us so that we can. I don't know. Maybe I don't want people engaging with us. Twitter's a lot to keep up with.
I don't want people talking to me on Twitter.
I mean, you literally
more and more every day.
You literally ask people to talk to you on Twitter every time we record an episode.
No, I mean, that's not talking to me directly.
Oh, okay.
That's talking. I'm asking people to say stuff so I can talk about it later. I don't. I'm
I
talking.
see what you're saying. So you don't like having an actual conversation on Twitter, is what you mean? You don't like the back and forth.
I just hate Twitter more and more every day.
Yeah.
It's not for me anymore.
Well, if you're like Brian and you're kind of over the whole Twitter phase, you can also follow us on TikTok, where we also go under the handle ZGLabPod.
We have over 500 views on all 3 videos.
I know. I thought that was pretty weird. Like I said, I've never used TikTok before like a week ago, so I have no idea if that's good or bad, but
that's a lot, I feel.
Well, they're amazing videos, so
they're pretty good. I still don't know how to make one.
You haven't figured that one out yet? You just hit the little plus button at the bottom.
What?
At the bottom, there's just like a little plus button you push.
All right, let's see if I can make one right now.
Okay, yeah, that'd be great.
All right, we're gonna make one on air. This is an on-air TikTok.
Is it gonna let you open it while you have Zoom going?
Yeah, I don't know if the audio is picking up. Oh, I have to be logged into your account. I don't know our account. Never mind.
Just log in with Google.
Oh, okay.
It's just because I think I have it set up so you log in through our email.
All right. Yeah, it already wants me to do that. Okay, cool. As soon as I logged out, it was like, "Hey, do you want to log in?"
And if you don't like tweeting us, you can also email us at zglabpod@gmail.com.
Yeah.
So while Brian's looking at that, just to kind of circle back, patreon.com/zglabpod. For $3 a month, you get access to all our bonus episodes, of which there are 11 so far, and at least 2 more coming in the coming months. And if you're just a regular listener and you think, well, maybe I'd join if they would talk about X, Y, or Z, just hit us up and let us know what that is, and we can try to make that happen.
Yeah. How do you do this?
So are you in TikTok?
Yeah.
Okay. So click at the bottom. Do you see like there's a plus button?
Okay.
So you click the plus, and that should load your camera.
I have to open settings and allow it to.
Okay.
All right. Allow. What else do I need? A camera. There we go. Okay. There we go. All right. What do I want to do? Oh, that's weird.
What?
Okay. That's pretty cool.
You playing with the effects?
Yeah, these are wild, man.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Again, I've never felt as old as I do when I discovered TikTok. I'm like, oh shit, this is how people do this? It's like just built into the app? I don't know.
All right, let's do this. This is crazy.
Is it?
Okay. All right. Next post.
I didn't hear you say anything. Is it just you making faces or something?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Let's see if it posted.
Usually I've found that it takes like a minute or two while it uploads.
Oh, we got it.
We got it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. I'm looking at it right now. Ah, okay. Very nice. Horrify. Oh, is there audio? Let's see. No. Okay. That's extremely creepy. So, yeah, again, follow us, tiktok.com/ZGLabPod. I don't know. Just download the fucking app and search for ZGLabPod.
Yeah, it's pretty easy.
If Brian and I can at least do that, yeah, and surely anyone listening can do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow, I recorded a TikTok. I don't know how I feel about that.
Look at you. It's a dawning of a new era.
I hope not.
What do you mean? You've got to boost our TikTok presence. I mean, we should each commit to doing 10 videos a day, 20 total.
Yeah, then we're gonna start like a content house with like a bunch of other TikTokers.
We could learn the dance moves. I think that's a thing, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Have a bunch of 19-year-old kids move in, create content all day.
Yeah. That's how we're gonna retire.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. Well, we are here to talk about the television show The Newsroom, the Canadian version, obviously, because there is an American version. So we're talking about this because our guest this week actually suggested it to me, and our guest, oh my god, I'm starting to stress out because I forgot our guest this week is like our executive producer, so I don't want to look bad. I want him to come on and have nothing but like great things to say about us.
Oh yeah.
But Pan Blurray suggested that we talk about The Newsroom. And so
this was his idea?
It was, yeah. So that's what we're doing. What did you think, Brian?
I didn't like it.
You didn't? Okay.
No, I thought it was pretty bland. I thought the characters were really extremely unlikable.
Okay.
Then nothing really stood out. It felt like it was trying too hard to be like an Aaron Sorkin type show.
Which is okay, but you did watch the Canadian one, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I only asked because like the American one I think is an Aaron Sorkin show.
It is.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I felt like this show tried too hard to be an Aaron Sorkin type show.
Okay.
With like the walk and talks and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And like the like quippy main character guy. I just didn't. I really didn't like it. I didn't care for it at all.
Okay. And so you just watched the one episode, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't watch the pilot. No.
Okay, so we watched the episode Bad Day, correct?
Is that the one where like the guy gets accused of sexual harassment?
Yes. Well, I mean,
and then
I watched the pilot, so that may be a recurring theme. So it's
and there's like something that happens to his BMW.
I think, yeah, Again, I'm starting to think that like I watched the pilot and I was like, oh, these are like, I think like trademarks of the show are like something happens to his car. He's like some sort of sex pest. So I mean, maybe we don't have to watch another episode. Maybe we just kind of have figured it all out. They talk about fiber. They talk a lot about fiber for some reason.
Okay, yeah, that's the one I watched.
The one with the carrot muffin.
Yeah, the carrot muffin. Yeah, that was so stupid. Yeah, I really didn't like this at all.
Okay.
Was this a popular show in Canada?
I believe so. I mean, it only had 3 seasons, but the first season from which we watched an episode, again, this episode 5 called Bad Day, or maybe A Bad Day, is from 1996, and then it returned in 2003, and then a 3rd season in 2004. So it must have been fairly popular if they came back after like 6 or 7 years, I would guess.
Yeah. I didn't think it was shot really well either. I thought it looked really amateurish. But maybe that was because it was from the 90s? I don't know.
Maybe. Yeah, I didn't know what to make of it. Like, I don't think I really ever watched any Aaron Sorkin shows, so I don't know if I would agree or disagree with your take. But what I felt like was it felt very The Office to me, which is to say, it seems to think it's really funny, but I was not really laughing. But it's almost like there's lots of shows that are supposed to be funny that just aren't. But they just kind of present it to you, and it is what it is, and you just go, it's not funny. But it's almost like I can almost feel the show telling me, hey, we're supposed to be funny, why aren't you laughing? Which is exactly how I felt when I first watched The Office.
Yeah, I didn't get that at all. I didn't think it was trying to be I couldn't tell if it was trying to be funny or not. If it was trying to be funny and it failed miserably.
So you're not sure? You don't think it was supposed to be a comedy?
I don't think so. If it's supposed to be one, then they didn't do their job correctly.
Huh. Let's see. I mean, according to Wikipedia, it was classified as a comedy drama series.
Okay, that makes a little more sense, yeah.
I just thought that, to me, it seemed like they were trying really hard to be funny. Like the conversation about the carrot bran muffin, and then the guy who... Oh, like the scene where the guy comes in to complain about the suicide tape, and the main character, George, is more obsessed with the flavor of his Miralax or whatever, or the BMW, or dating the 21-year-old or whatever. So to me, that very struck me as oh, ha, he should be focused on the concern of this gentleman who's come in about his suicide tape, but all he cares about is the fact that he has the wrong flavor fiber or whatever.
Yeah, that didn't feel like a joke to me. That just felt like the character being an asshole.
Okay, and I think
which his character kind of is.
Right.
The characters aren't likable at all. No. And I can't tell who the main character is because it's just 5 different white guys walking around.
Well, I think the main character is the guy. Yeah, well, I think the main character is the guy who kind of has just the plaid shirt.
Yeah.
Because I mean, there's a lot of white guys, obviously. Well, and then there was
they all look alike too.
Yeah, and then there was the B plot. They were filming a documentary with the anchor. And the anchor inadvertently tells a story that makes it seem like he had sex with a cow, I think. I think that was the main thing I was supposed to take away from his story.
I didn't catch that.
I think he was trying to tell a story about cow tipping, but he left details out that made it sound like he fucked a cow.
Oh, good.
And that was the holy shit moment, because that was what the documentary director was looking for.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the end, he's a creep, because then they get those political authors on to talk. It seems like a lot happens, yet somehow almost nothing happens.
A lot happened, but none of it resonated. None of it felt like it was. None of it stuck. None of it made the episode worthwhile.
Right. So one thing I was interested in, because it says it was a CBC comedy series, I want to talk to our guests about what is the CBC? I feel like I have an idea, but the show had a lot of swearing. So is it cable, or are there just not as many regulations in Canada about what can and can't be said on network television?
Yeah, I don't know. CBC, Canadian Broadcasting Conglomerate?
Conglomerate? I mean, maybe.
I have no idea.
CBC Television. Yeah, I don't know either. Canadian Broadcasting Corporation. It's the National Public Broadcaster, which to me makes it seem like that's the equivalent of PBS.
Right.
You're not going to hear things like goddamn or shit on PBS.
No. It's not something Mr. Rogers would say.
I'd love to hear him say that, though.
That'd be pretty sick, yeah.
Okay, so you did not like the show. I thought it was okay. So the main guy, I know you said you're not sure who that is, but George, the director in the newsroom, he is also the series creator. His name is Ken Finkelman.
Finkelman.
Mm-hmm, Finkelman. So he created and stars in this show.
Okay. Finkelman. Should I'm trying to make a joke out of his last name, but I can't think of one.
No good Finkelman jokes?
No. No, I can't think of anyone. I can't think of anything.
When I Google the term Finkelman joke, I just get a news article with the headline, "How the heck did a ham get a kosher certification?"
Oh.
So,
Certification?
Paul Finkelman was shopping for groceries at Price Chopper in Albany, New York. I'm already bored with this.
Did you say certification?
Certification.
Certification.
Certification. See, I feel like now we've switched.
Yeah, I used to call it certification or certification. Like the community episode of mixology certification.
Right. Certification. Certification.
Yeah, certification.
Well, which one of us is right? I mean, I guess we were both right at one point. I just don't know which version of each other is the right one or the wrong one.
It's certification.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Just like it's partigrams.
No, see, that's wrong. It's paradigm. Paradigms.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, partigrams.
Mm-hmm. Words are funny, man.
Words are funny.
Words are funny. You know what's another good word? Penultimate.
You know, I'm not familiar with that word. It sounds intriguing, though.
Yeah, it means second to last.
Second to last. Okay. So, okay. Could you use that in a sentence?
Yeah. I want to, but I can't think of anything relevant to the podcast because we're not in a penultimate phase right now.
No.
This is not the penultimate episode.
Mm-mm. You could say that, I mean, if it means second to last, this episode that we watched of the newsroom was the penultimate one that you're going to have to watch, because you'll have to watch one more in preparation for our guest spot.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
And since it sounds like you probably won't be watching any additional episodes as you did not care for it, this was probably the penultimate episode of the newsroom that you'll ever watch.
Yeah, there we go. See, so you know what it means.
Well, no, I'm just going based on the definition you gave me. I've never encountered the word in the wild.
Okay. That'll change pretty soon.
It will? Okay. I'll have to keep my ear to the ground and see if I come across that word out there. All right, so we talked about the carrot muffin. We talked about the fiber, the suicide guy, the politicians. Is there anything we've missed? Is there anything else we need to cover from this episode? How does this make you feel about Canada and their content?
It didn't feel Canadian either.
No?
No, I didn't get a Canadian vibe from it at all.
Okay. I don't know. I mean, we talked at length about Trailer Park Boys, and that's just like, I feel like an overly Canadian vibe. But outside of that, I'm not sure what a Canadian vibe would be necessarily. I mean, see, this is where I start to wonder, like, is our perception of Canadian vibe, is it like it literally has to be like Strange Brew, like A and a boot and like hoser? Like, is that what we mean when we say Canadian vibe, or is there something else?
No, I mean it didn't well, going back to what Jordan was talking about, like his definition of Canada, the way it's like sorry means fuck you kind of thing.
Right.
or like how they're insecure.
Yeah. I guess using that as a definition, this was not really Canadian because the main guy is just an asshole, and it's not like he's not super nice to people's faces and then is an asshole behind their back. He's just like always an asshole, and so maybe he seems more American than Canadian.
Right. I just didn't get any Canadian vibes from this at all.
Did you get like now that you know that it's from the 90s? Does that all kind of add up? It definitely feels 90s.
Yeah, it felt 90s. I don't know if the one we watched was from the first season or not.
It was, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that was a 90s episode.
Yeah, 1996.
Okay, that's cool, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I have to watch another episode and see how I feel about it.
Well, and that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to talk to Pan Blurray. I'll be interested if we actually get his real name. I'm going to guess that we will not learn his real name. But we're going to talk to Pan Blurray about the Season 2 episode where at least one of the characters comes to America. So it's the great Canadian-American crossover.
All right. Is Pan Blurray Canadian?
He is, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool.
And, talking to him about this episode, because this is the one I wanted to get him on, he said, I could be on the Great Big Sea episode as well, because he grew up in Newfoundland, is what he said. And I said, well, we already have a guest for that. But we got him on this one. But maybe we'll talk to him about Great Big Sea as well, because I know that that's a topic that we just don't get tired of. There's a lot to say about Great Big Sea.
The only thing I love more than listening to Great Big Sea is talking about Great Big Sea.
All right. Anything else to say before our guest spot, Brian?
Not really. No.
All right. Well, this was nice and short, and stick around for
our one,
stick around for our guest conversation. Okay, welcome to the Zeitgeist Lab pod. Our pseudo-executive producer, Pan Blurray.
Our boss.
Our boss, yeah. It's like, I feel like it's annual performance review time or something, and we've got the boss here, just making sure that everything's going well. How are you doing this afternoon?
I guess like you kept me waiting like 10 minutes before I was supposed to come on, so I'd say pretty unprofessional.
Mm-hmm. I gave like an hour or two notice, so that's gotta be worth something. Like, and
okay, you gave me notes. So
it was for my kids, so I mean, you could be like one of those asshole bosses that doesn't even care that I'm trying to raise a fucking kid here, but.
I mean, in the spirit of this TV show, maybe I can play the asshole boss.
Right. Okay.
But yeah, I guess I like that you've decided to attract guests that will get like no listeners and have nothing to promote themselves.
Right. I think that makes the most sense. I think I've really figured out that like probably 90% of our listeners come from the 155 pod listenership. So I might as well get people that interest them in hopes of boosting numbers. Not to get like too into the weeds here, but it definitely helped with our most recent guests. Like I don't know, maybe people really just want to hear us talk about Great Big Sea. But that episode really has done amazing for us for some reason.
Right. I mean, I want to talk about that for a bit before we get to the newsroom. But I would say that asking me as a guest did like guilt me into subscribing to your Patreon. So.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. I should go back and look, because I did see someone subscribe, and I was like, I don't know, I didn't recognize this name, but this is all adding up now. This is probably you. Okay, there we go.
And I listen. I would say, to try to promote it more, I did listen to the Shoes Robinson interview, and when I think when you bring up the comp of covers to him, it's like it's a very touching moment. I thought he's like. Mm-hmm.
It was very touching. Like I say in that episode, I wasn't sure how it was going to go, but that's a great plug for our Patreon. Patreon.com/zglabpod.com. $3 a month. Okay, before we get into the newsroom...
Or $4 Canadian.
Oh, is that what it is? Yeah, I saw, again, I knew it was a Canadian. I thought maybe we actually... I don't know, I thought maybe it was like Alan Doyle in disguise. He like heard the Great Big Sea episode and wanted to figure out what we're talking about behind the paywall, but it's just you. And that's fine, because money is money. Now, before we get into anything like... Well, no, this is specifically Canadian. Can you explain to me how anywhere in the world has a time zone that is an hour, like a half of an hour off from other time zones? I didn't even know that was a thing.
Right. So, so in relation to the Great Big Sea episode, I did grow up in Newfoundland from the ages of 5 to 22. And then last year, due to pandemic-related reasons, moved back here. I thought I'd only be here for a few months, but it's been like a year now. So
okay.
But basically, the rest of Atlantic Canada, which is the Maritimes of Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, and PEI, are like an hour ahead of Eastern Standard Time.
Okay.
And then Newfoundland is a half hour ahead of that.
Okay.
I don't know the reasoning for this. I think there might be some like small island in South America that shares the time zone, but I'm really not sure.
Okay. And so, but in Canada, it's just... Is Newfoundland's a full... it's a province, right?
Well, the province is Newfoundland and Labrador.
Okay.
So I think Labrador is on probably the same time as the Maritimes, but I honestly don't know.
Okay. And what is Labrador? Is that an island or just another region?
That's like kind of next to Quebec.
Okay.
And more northern.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. So I'm learning something here. So you grew up in Newfoundland, and I didn't know that at all. But even when you had mentioned that to me in one of our DMs a few weeks ago, I didn't know that's where you were currently. But if I know any of that, you may have also made sense as a guest on the Great Big Sea episode, as you kind of alluded to. So, I mean, here at the top of our spot, I want to give you the chance to speak your piece about Great Big Sea, as it were.
Right. So I think what I like about you would pick something like Great Big Sea is that they're like amazingly uncool and just like and I think Canada is likewise just like a loser country.
Okay.
And within Canada, Newfoundland is like a loser province.
Okay. So it's like the bottom of the barrel. But
that they were successful is like speaks to what Canada is like. And I think especially for like what late 90s CanCon regulations did, that I think it was in the late 90s that they increased the amount of airplay on radio that had to be Canadian.
Okay.
And so they were like one of those bands within that period. I never enjoyed them or like heard anything besides the radio hits.
Okay.
And I would say, I guess they're very like made their success on kind of stereotypes of Newfoundland, maybe.
Oh, really?
I mean, they're not completely untrue stereotypes. Like there's plenty of people into like, traditional music and all that sort of stuff. So I thought since, you're judging by your Twitter account, you're quite into sports.
Oh yes, we're big sports fans here.
So I thought, I'd share another band from Newfoundland that kind of gets away from some of these more stereotypical views.
Okay.
So this is a band called Sports.
Okay.
And actually, in relation to the previous episode of the newsroom you talked about, one of the members of this band, Tristan Homer, now works in Canadian children's programming.
Oh, okay.
And is in fact, I looked up his Wikipedia just before this. He was a Gemini nominated for his work on the TV show Wibbly Pig.
Wibbly Pig. Okay, is Gemini? Is that like the Emmys or?
Yeah, something like that. Okay. And also worked on the shows Almost Naked Animals and Cupcake and Dino. So
okay.
So I thought, if I don't know how old your child is, but if you want to introduce them to some CanCon.
Okay.
So this is the band Sports with the song Sports Night.
Okay.
There's the actual version of this is not available online, so this is the Nightcore version.
Okay.
Of course.
Is it coming through?
Yes.
I hear some.
So, there's a lot of variety to music that's coming out of Newfoundland. I just
that's Newfoundland.
Great Big Sea.
Yeah, it's I don't know, I can't remember. That was like 2004 or something.
Okay, so they were probably inspired by Great Big Sea then. Like
I think
sure
so.
If it was the non-Nightcore version, I'm sure there'd be like Great Big Sea influence that's easily discernible, right?
Yeah, and I thought to get away not just from these Newfoundland stereotypes, but maybe also like Canadian stereotypes. These, when they're talking about sports, Americans might think, oh, they must be talking about hockey,
right?
Or they might be talking about maybe lacrosse.
Okay, but they might be talking about this band.
Here's another song by sports called "Let's Get This Softball Game on the Go."
Okay, so are all their songs about sports?
You'll see.
Okay.
That's so cool.
I mean, they were quite like, they were very different songs, both of those as well. Like they have a lot of variety in their work.
Was this a popular band?
I think they performed twice.
Okay.
I think that's from a CDR that had like 10 copies made.
Okay.
Yeah, so in Newfoundland standards, pretty popular. Like not Great Big Sea popular, but they're getting there.
Yeah. Is like, from a pop culture standpoint, is Great Big Sea like, is that the thing that Newfoundland is most proud of?
I would say they were probably the most like popular band that came out of here.
Yeah.
There might be some like singer-songwriter types that were more like, there was this guy Ron Hines, who I think in like the 90s tried to like, was hoping to get successful on that like alt country wave and stuff, but never quite broke through. I think because he was a drug addict.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I think I had one more question, kind of just about CanCon in general, before we move on to the newsroom, which is, in our messages back and forth, you seem like I should be getting actual Canadian celebrities on the podcast. Like, that is easy to do or something. So if I just missed the boat on not trying to get like the actual star of the newsroom or the actual members of Great Big Sea, or...
So I think, I was exaggerating to some extent, but at the same time, it probably isn't that hard.
Okay.
I think like Ken Finkelman, who's George in the newsroom and created and wrote it, he's like 70 years old, and I think, officially or unofficially retired from doing stuff. So he probably doesn't respond to anything.
Right.
I looked. He does have a Twitter account, and I think he has like 10 followers or something like
Oh wow, 10 whole
that.
followers.
I don't think he uses it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So the newsroom. Before you explain the newsroom to us and we get into it, Brian, I just want you to tell our guests what you thought about the newsroom.
Thought it was boring and bad. Wasn't nearly as entertaining in a bad way as the American Newsroom. But still pretty bad. I watched both episodes that we were supposed to watch. I almost didn't. I finished it as Alex was setting up.
Okay, so you really saved it for the last minute then.
Yeah. The main character is really horny. I don't know why they made him so horny. But he can't stop hitting on girls. In this show, and yeah, it's hard to watch, I guess. I don't know. I just didn't like it.
Okay, so the newsroom. I had heard of the newsroom.
And did you? What were your thoughts on it, Alex?
I think so. My thoughts on the show in general. I watched 3 episodes. I watched the first one because I was like, maybe I need context. Then I watched the 5th episode, Bad Day, which Brian and I have already talked about. Then I watched this one earlier today as well, America. I think that it's okay. It's not as funny as I was expecting. I thought it was going to be like more humorous, I guess. Right.
Yeah. I think I would say this episode, America, I don't particularly like. The one you previously talked about, I rewatched that because I haven't seen the show in a long time.
Uh-huh.
And I thought I liked that one, but so I don't know. Did you guys look up like who Ken Finkelman is, like the guy who plays the news director George?
I think I looked it up briefly after you and I had messaged back and forth, but not in depth or anything.
Okay, so he was like he wrote when he was like young screenwriter, moved to America, and he wrote like 2 movie sequels. He wrote Airplane 2 and he wrote Grease 2.
Oh, okay.
So both of those, I think, like performed really badly commercially.
I would imagine. Yeah.
But I looked it up, and apparently they've been reevaluated, and people say, no, they're pretty good.
Oh, okay.
But I haven't seen either. And this show is kind of very much I guess him returning to Canada, and you're a failed screenwriter. I guess not really failed, but moved back to Canada because you kind of couldn't work in that kind of system of the Hollywood system. Okay. And so of course you just got a show on CBC. But it's stylistically a direct ripoff. I think he's probably like admitted to this, of the Larry Sanders Show. Are you guys familiar with that?
Oh, okay. Yeah,
I'm familiar with it. I've never seen it.
Okay, so it's done in a very similar style, and I think it's like similar in having like a very cynical worldview. But it's about like a late night talk show host instead of a director.
Okay. So the newsroom came after the Larry Sanders Show?
Yeah. Or it might have been, I can't remember exactly. It might have been like the last season or seasons of the Larry Sanders Show. It was like a early 90s HBO show.
Right.
With I guess Gary Shandling, who I think had been like a guest host on late night shows, and instead of kind of doing one himself, did like showing kind of mocking all of how that works.
Right. Okay.
And maybe like to what Brian was saying about the show, I'm kind of curious of like, I think maybe much like the character of David Brent in the UK Office, of like, I think Ken Finkelman is probably more like the character of George, because that's also him playing it, the guy who created it.
Uh-huh.
Then people who like the show would probably like to admit.
Okay.
Particularly in the stuff, in the horniness and like pursuing young women.
Yeah.
Which I think is like, that's the part of the episode that I find doesn't work as well, because it's like I like the show when George is a piece of shit, but he's just like pathetic and fails at everything.
Right.
And I think that's more apparent in the previous episode, where like the young woman's just like, I'm half your age. Stop sexually harassing me.
Right, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I thought it was odd that in this episode the female character was like came onto him. Like he was kind of like, yeah, I don't think I can do this, or he at least was like, is there a policy? Like he wanted to know if he could, but then the female anchor was just kind of like, yeah, I want this to happen, and then it doesn't make it as. I mean, it makes it. I don't know what I'm trying to say. It's just it's more weird when it actually happens versus him just getting shut down. Like,
yeah, I think so. And then especially at the end of the episode, if we can skip the
Sure.
the first 20 minutes.
yeah, whatever.
But the end is like the woman who was the new anchor dies from eating kind of his clams left in his fridge for 6 weeks.
Right.
But then there's this whole thing of like him and the other guy, Matt Wells, just like talking about like needy women and crazy women.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, is this trying to mock the two men? I think that was the intent, but it doesn't work.
Yeah,
I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it really plays well, and it's just so weird because it's not, to me, that like the conversations around like the needy women and all that. It's not presented in a way that I think you're supposed to find it funny. I think you're kind of just supposed to agree with them. Like I think that's what they were going for.
I don't think that's what they were. I mean, it's hard to say, because I think part of what I like about the show, and maybe what I like more about the first season, is this. It's a show just about like people who are incredibly petty and incredibly morally bankrupt.
Uh-huh.
And so you're not supposed to like any of them.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
And I think that's where, like, I mean, you did like Community.
Uh-huh.
Which is, I think, some of the issues I have with that show, like looking back at it, like I liked it when it was on the air, is that things like, so for example, like Jim, the newscaster in this episode,
Right.
like he will, when he's on this American kind of right-wing morning show, will say like offensive and racist things.
Right.
And so I think in a show like Community, it's like Pierce will make these racist, homophobic comments.
Right.
But they also try to make him seem sympathetic in other episodes.
True.
And that's what I don't like. And it's the same in a lot of like NBC sitcoms, like 30 Rock, or, those kind of shows where it's like, these people are despicable, but we're going to try to make you like them.
Okay.
Right.
And so I think that's what I like about this show, is just like, I guess if you're not into shows where you hate everyone, this is not for you.
Okay.
But I think I can watch shows and hate every character.
And you think that's the intent, is that we're like,
definitely. Everyone's supposed to be an idiot. Everyone's supposed to be a complete hypocrite. Even the character of George is like very much like, he pretends to be kind of left leaning, but is just like has no morals whatsoever.
Right.
He's just like incredibly selfish.
Okay. Yeah, that's
so
interesting.
I think this episode was less successful than some of them in terms of that ending, especially that ending. But I don't think we're supposed to like what they're saying at the end. Like, we're supposed to be like, oh, these are just like terrible people trying to justify like basically being happy that this woman has died.
Right. But are we supposed to find it funny? Because like when you talk about characters that aren't supposed to be liked, and like when you present it like that, like, it kind of seems like it's always sunny, but somehow it's always funny. Like if they were to talk about these things, and at this juncture in the show, I was like, I'm not sure if I'm supposed to find this funny or not.
Yeah, the show's
I'm not sure either.
very clear and found.
Yeah, I think it was this one is not a particularly successful episode in doing a lot of that.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I had picked this one simply because you had mentioned a couple to me. You're like, oh, there's one where he comes to America. I was like, okay, great, like Canadian American crossover or whatever. And I thought this must have come out like right after 9/11, because there's a lot of like Ground Zero talk and like Like Jim is playing a lot on this whole God bless our troops and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, so the first season was like in mid-90s, and then he made a bunch of like other like 6 to 12 episode shows, I guess.
Okay.
None of which were particularly successful. And then in like the early 2000s, they got him to do a second season because this was a more like successful CBC show.
Right. Okay. Speaking of, you've mentioned a couple times now they're on the CBC. I was hoping you could explain to me what is the CBC compared to like American television, because I don't think I noticed it in this episode, but in the episodes I watched prior to this, there was like multiple times where they're saying like shit or god damn it. I'm like, that's like stuff you can't say on network television in America. So I was like, is it like network television or is it more like cable, or what is the CBC exactly?
So CBC is the publicly funded television and radio. Okay. And I guess news as well. So yeah, it wouldn't be cable. Basically, if you had no cable, whatever, you'd get like some, probably like a local CTV is another Canada network. Okay. And you'd get the CBC. Okay. But yeah, I guess there have been more lax rules around swearing on TV shows, I guess, when they're aired in the evening here. Okay. I did look up, because I was looking up this failed pilot for a US adaptation of this show. Okay. And it mentioned that the Canadian version of the Newsroom did air on PBS, but it was censored for those swear words and whatnot.
Yeah, I would bet. Like, this could not be on PBS for sure. At least not in its original state.
And I guess PBS is the closest equivalent in America, but the difference being that they don't have a bunch of pledge runs and it's funded by the government. So I guess closer to like the BBC.
Right. Yeah, our government tries really hard not to fund things. They would rather us fund what they claim to be funding.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of people who want to defund the CBC in Canada as well.
Oh, really? Okay. So it's not necessarily a popular notion to have public broadcasting?
Well, there's a lot of people in Canada who want like private healthcare and all of that stuff.
Oh, too, really? So. Okay. Interesting.
People who don't want to be taxed, basically.
Right. Yeah. I mean, all taxes are bad, as we know. Okay. Well, I thought this was an interesting episode. I would agree that it was not as good as the other ones. But this was the only thing I took, like the only episode I'd taken notes on that I wanted to bring up. The first one was at the beginning when they're going through like the dog pissing metaphors. And they're talking about Canadian news anchors or celebrities in general are often like, I guess, poached by the United States. Is that true? Like, does Canada feel like America is often like coming up and stealing their best talent, or?
I don't feel that way. I'm not sure if people do.
Okay.
I think it's more of that, as I said at the beginning, we're a very uncool loser country.
Right.
So to be actually successful, you have to go to America. Mm-hmm. I think even, if you go to America and do anything, then people in Canada you can go back to Canada and be a big success there.
Okay. Is that what happened here? Like, was Ken Finkelman popular in Canada before he went to write Grease 2?
No, those were the first things he did, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, I think it's often, if you've been able to show that the Americans will accept you, then you can go back and be a star.
Gotcha. Okay. And this show takes place in Toronto, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And have you lived in Toronto or no?
No, the only other place in Canada I lived was Montreal.
Oh, okay. So I was just going to verify with you that there were no good Chinese restaurants downtown, but I guess maybe you're not the person to ask on that.
Yeah. And, I'm sure downtown has changed in the past 20 years. So.
Yeah, probably. Okay, and then I've got here, I did like the part where he's talking about how it's different to watch Everybody Loves Raymond while you're in New York City, because somehow it feels bigger to be watching it in New York City.
I like those scenes where he's
I thought the gym plot in this was decent.
Right.
I think both like the send up of like him being an awful person but getting away with it on these kind of right-wing morning shows,
Right.
like appealing to like post 9/11 patriotism, but also just him like Canadians moving to America and realizing they have no friends and are complete losers and stuff.
Right. I mean, is it also, I thought it was interesting because obviously having friends and knowing people helps, but like if you're alone in New York City, there's still plenty of things to do. And I wasn't sure if they were like insulting New York and saying, well, there's actually nothing to do there, or like making fun of Canadians for just like not knowing how to go and live in New York.
I think it's that Jim is an idiot.
Okay.
And has terrible social skills in general.
Mm-hmm.
And so he is incapable. Somehow he got his way into this Canadian news job. I guess maybe it's more of a comment on that of like who can succeed in Canadian media. Right. Are these complete idiots. And so moving somewhere else, it's just like nobody, you might get a job, but nobody is going to tolerate your idiocy.
Right. Okay. And then was there something at the end of the first season about him and a prostitute, or are we just not supposed to have any context on all of that? Because that just kind of came out of nowhere.
Right. Yeah. That part also, I think that was another part I didn't think worked particularly well. I think I haven't watched this in a while. In the last episode of the first season, which I guess was like 8 or 9 years before this came out, it shifts from being like about a newsroom to be about them trying to run a provincial political campaign to get Jim elected.
Oh, okay.
And it might fail with him also, soliciting a sex worker.
Who turns out to be 16,
I can't remember.
Apparently.
I can't remember though, so it's possible. It fails for him doing something stupid.
Gotcha. Okay. And then I just, because I'm a big fan of any time we get to talk about O.J. Simpson, I did appreciate the very end where he seems to take pleasure in being the O.J. of this particular scenario.
Yeah, I like that scene. I think it just shows how stupid Jim is.
Right. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Of even, and also how like his, I guess both his arrogance and his inability to read other people. I think the scene when he's leaving the hotel is the same of it's just he's so vain. As long as somebody notices him, that's all that matters. So it's like Larry King was talking about me. I was on CNN, and is so unself-aware that he can't see this as being a bad thing in any way.
Well, I think he does see it as a bad thing, but he doesn't care because he's like, yeah, Larry King nailed my ass. But he still seems proud of that. Like the fact that he got raked over the coals by Larry King is just like the highlight of his career. Yeah,
it's just like as long as people are talking about him and watching him, he's happy.
Right. Okay, so if you could go back, is this the episode you would have recommended, or should we have done a different one, do you think? It sounds like you just recommended it based on memory.
Yeah. Because I watched the other episode you watched as well, and I think maybe what the second season is missing is the character of Audrey, the intern.
Okay.
Because she's not in this episode. I don't think she's in the other seasons, but I can't remember.
Yeah.
Because I think she's shitty in a different way.
Okay.
And I think you can at least have some sympathy for her of working around all these kind of very difficult people.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas in this episode, I don't think you can have sympathy for anyone.
No, I don't think so. Yeah, definitely not.
So the first season's still very cynical, but I think at least there's that I guess single person who you can maybe relate to, especially if you've been in a position closer to that.
Yeah.
Of having a boss who's a complete piece of shit.
Right. Well, I think it was also missing jokes about fiber. So.
Yeah, that's one thing. That's
that was
another
in both
thing.
the first episodes I watched from season 1. So I thought it was just going to be every episode there was going to be something about fiber.
So yeah, I think that's another thing. So the joke in the first episode about fiber um, isn't really a joke at all.
Okay. Okay.
But I think there's a thing of when you're from somewhere where, like, when you're from Canada and you mostly consume American media, you don't get references to, specific Canadian products or those sorts of things.
Okay.
So in the joke in the first episode where he's talking about the Jeremy Hotz's characters talking about these different 5 grams of fiber, 10 grams of fiber. President's Choice has a 15-gram fiber cereal. Okay. And I think it's not funny. It's just that we don't hear President's Choice reference. So if you're a Canadian person, you're just like, oh, that. But it's like, I think it's kind of lazy writing. Okay. But at the same time, I know, like, I enjoyed hearing that when I saw it.
Right. Okay.
And I think there's probably other things in, various CanCon where it's just like, that's not actually entertaining, but it's like, as a Canadian, I never hear that being referenced in the media I consume. So I'm like, oh, I know that.
Yeah. Okay. All right, Brian, did you have anything else to say about this episode before we move on?
Not really. No.
Okay. Did you think it was better or worse than the first one we watched?
I guess it was better.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Why would you say better?
I don't know.
Okay, just a gut feeling.
Yeah.
Okay. So I have one more thing to share with you.
Perfect. Yes.
I found it's like a clip from the pilot of the American version, which stars Stephen Colbert as the news director.
Oh. Okay.
Filthy Solomon Deli deny my credit card for $3 lousy and then start screaming in front of 50 people that my credit is no good.
Well, the way I remember it, Solomon quietly returns your card and you started screaming.
I think we've got our lead. First case ever of West Nile virus in the city. 1 bird dead, no humans infected. It's transmitted by mosquitoes.
Anything?
Tuesday's budget meeting's been moved to Friday.
Good. Come. So these mosquitoes with the West Nile virus, do they attack like killer bees?
I don't think we're gonna get a killer bee scare out of 1 dead bird.
So the mosquitoes don't swarm and kill?
Yeah.
Well, is there a mad cow scare in this?
Cows don't swarm, actually.
I know that. That's not my point.
No, your point is to create mass hysteria so more people will tune in and our numbers will go up.
Yeah, that's why we're here.
We're here to inform the public.
That's what I meant.
Sophia, would you call Visa and find out why Solomon's Deli denied my card?
That's not really my job.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say I hadn't watched that before, and I would say I can understand why it wasn't picked up.
I don't know. I've always been a fan of Colbert, so I thought he did okay. But I could see why that type of thing does not play well here. It makes sense to me, I guess. Okay, did you have anything? I think at the top you basically said you have nothing to plug or promote, but this is your chance anyway.
No.
Okay.
I'm good.
All right. Well, thank you so much for finally dropping by this show that you so dutifully produce for us.
I put in my hours.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you so much, and it's a pleasure having you.
All right. Bye.
The Zeitgeist Lab Collections podcast, hosted by Brian and Alex, edited by Poli-Sci Alex, executive produced by Blurray for Itchy Grundle Podcast.